Okay, thanks, Angel. Thanks you everybody for attending today. Our objective today is to talk a little bit about some of the new platforms that our mobile partner Datalogic has available. They're going to talk a little bit about the old Windows CE platform. We'll talk about some mobility solutions and how they become much more flexible and efficient. We'll talk about some queue busting to optimize customer flow and some additional applications that may or might not relate to everybody, but it'll give you some visibility as to how these new mobile platforms can be used across applications. Next slide. All right, Kevin, I'll let you take.
Yeah. So if you're still using Windows CE, it's a very old platform with some security problems in it. It ended support for the Windows CE platforms back in 2020. It was actually released back in 1996. So what else was happening in 1996? Bill Clinton was president. The Unabomber got caught. Tickle Me Elmo was the big toy, and gasoline was $1.23 a gallon. And there were some other little tidbits there also. Needless to say, it's a very old platform, and it's time to upgrade if you haven't already. Next slide. So looking at it from a perspective of a grocer and even a small grocer, Kroger is probably the most famous recent data breach. The National Cybersecurity Alliance says 60% of small businesses that have a cyber attack are going to go out of business within 6 months. So it's not a trivial thing to have a data breach either. Independent grocers, you might think you're small and not a target, but industry experts say that's not the case. Next slide. So why would they go after a small grocery chain? Data, everything that they can get their hands on, payment, membership details, personal customer information, phone numbers, email addresses, your employee records. They may be looking to do small-time fraud, create some online orders and come pick them up. They might want access to your pricing system, or create all fraudulent coupons, entry into your loyalty card system. It might seem like the reward is small, but their risk is very small also, because you don't have the large security layers that a larger company might. So why go to Android devices? There is a Windows IoT out there, but it's typically not on a handheld size device. They're typically on tablets and larger devices. Some people will use iOS, but there's really not a lot of hardware options out there available, especially if you want things like barcode scanners. Everything's third party. The only people that can actually build a encompassing device with iOS on it is Apple. You also lack a lot of the enterprise grade hardware and features when you go with an iOS device. None of the devices have anything embedded like scanners or payment options. And iOS devices are more desirable for thieves. When they see something around that looks like an iPhone, there's a good chance that they're more likely to take it than something that looks like a large industrial device. For Android, there's a wide range of manufacturers. You can have embedded barcode scanners, embedded payment options. There's support for Android Enterprise, which gives you things like guaranteed updates monthly for security patches. I know in the case of Datalogic, our devices are Android Enterprise recommended for ruggedized devices. That means we have to go through an entire different set of testing process that Google dictates. and we have to guarantee that we're going to provide those security updates on a timely basis. You get longer upgrade cycles. These devices, our newest ones, can last out to 10 years. So to give you an idea of what those devices look like, we've got 4 different devices out now. There's what we call a personal self-shopper. These are devices primarily used in Europe, but we're starting to see more interest in it here, where a customer will come in, use their loyalty card to unlock a device and be able to take that and scan their product as they go around the store. Memoir 11, which is more of a compact type device. We make the personal self-shoppers intentionally unattractive to take or to go home with. Memoir 11, something a little more that your in-store managers might use. The Memoir 30 is our newer device out at the larger screen, also incorporates barcode scanning. And then there's what we call a PDT, or personal data terminal, something you might see being used either for picking online orders, e-commerce type activity, or for doing inventory on the back side of the store. Just to kind of plug Datalogic a little bit, all of our devices use wireless charging. So one of the things that we try and do is make these reliable devices that are going to work when you go to use them. And from a commercial standpoint, one of the biggest things that causes these devices to be unfunctional is the contact pins. When you drop it into a cradle to do charging, or you plug it into a side port, that side port's not reliable to charge the device. With ours, we get rid of those contact pins, and actually the PDA type devices, you can set down on the top of any Qi charging pad and charge them that way, as opposed to having to have multiple different docking stations around the store. One of the things we've done with the Memoir 32 is we're starting to see more applications where the managers especially want to be able to do a lot of different functions mobily around the store. And what that means is that they're on a mobile device, but if they want to do something like send an email or do something that requires a larger screen, like look at reports, typically they would have had to have gone back to their desk to do that. With the Memoir 30 docking station, you can have a full-size screen, keyboard, and mouse, even hooked to a printer. So they can just walk up, set their device into the docking station, not have to have multiple licenses to sign into, not have to even re-sign into the device. They're right where they left off. Allows you to have a lot more functionality without having to have additional PCs around. And that ties into some of the things with Thriversa. And I'll go ahead and turn it over now to LOC Software.
Thanks, Kevin. This is Pat. And yeah, so if those of you that are familiar with our solution altogether, you may not have heard the term Thriversa yet. It's just a new branding. Okay, so instead of SMS, for example, you'll start hearing more and more about the term Thriversa. Next slide. So along with the new devices of the day, as Kevin's been talking about some of the Datalogic, newer technology, we've created a new version of the handheld app that is to be used by store associates. We've had previous versions, including ones that were optimized for Windows CE as discussed, but the latest is now optimized for Android, and trying to leverage all that latest technology so that it's faster, it's nicer looking, and the navigation and the flow is better for the end user. But we're still providing a whole bunch of features, including product maintenance, purchasing, receiving, and some new stuff in this version of the handheld that never existed before. And I think that's what I'll try to touch on more than one of those is the ability to do reporting. So more than ever, our handheld app becomes like a mobile office where you can not only do price maintenance and receiving and so on, but you can do reporting as well. It's also the first version of the handheld to support what we call multi-target. So if you're a chain of stores, you'll be familiar with multi-target. It would be necessary in order to do reports from a head office level. So you got some screenshots here. This is just one of the reports to give you a little bit of a look and feel of it. It's the department sales. And of course, all of the reports, much like our desktop version these days, are interactive. You don't just land on a report and stop there. This is an example where you'd be able to drill down from departments to items, all the way to items, for example. And next slide. Again, with that ability to interact, you can drill down, you can switch to graph, you can switch to item from department, you can change the layout. There's lots of stuff that you can do that you could not do before. So pretty cool, new stuff available on this handheld app. Okay, part of what we've always seen store users and retailers using the handheld for is inventory management. And again, we provide that through the use of the handheld while you're on the floor. You want to do counts, you want to do adjustments, all of that is available. Again, to talk about what's a little bit new, the workflow of direct store delivery, for example, has changed slightly, where we've had requests for that, where a direct store delivery will begin with asking for the invoice amount, the total invoice amount, and then count down from there as you're scanning items. So you've got a running tally of where you're at and if there's any discrepancies and so on. Next slide. Yeah, another new thing, okay? Again, thing that we've been asked for, if you're doing perpetual inventory, as some of our retailers are doing, and that includes random weight products, those goods that are getting labeled at the deli and the label has the price in it. Now you could take this handheld app, scan the label of the product that you're trying to count, and it will reverse calculate the weight based on the price per pound. So you don't have to input, you don't have to do the manual calculation. So that's a brand new thing we never had before. This is a little bit again about the DSD and the flow of that, and some of the, you can see here that I've been requested for the total amount of the invoice in the second screenshot, 500. And as I scan things, it's reducing that balance. And at the end, you can tell right away, is there a difference here in the invoice? And of course, we're permitting you to do adjustments and do things as you go. Next one. Gee, another new feature that I had been asked for a lot, and maybe some of you out there have wanted, it's the ability to take your handheld, walk out on the floor, and if you've got some products like a dented can or a product of that's getting close to expiry or any of that you should want to mark down, you can use a piece of the handheld app to scan that item, input either a discount that you would want to apply to it or the new price, and print a label using our label software. Print it right there on the floor if you have a belt printer, or send it to your label printer and use that label to put over the existing barcode so that when they get to the cash register, the cashier doesn't have to worry about whether they need to do a discount. It will come automatically by scanning the barcode. Of course, there's a whole bunch of other use cases, I think, for mobile devices, and we touched on some of them. We're not going to go through all the detail of them, but at the high level, queue busting or line busting, something that we can use the handheld to leverage. If you got a very busy store, you got people in line and you would want to start ringing in their goods other than the scalable items, you can use the handheld. Suspend the transaction, so by the time they get to the register, it's just a question of bringing up the sale and inputting anything that needed to be weighed, for example. Helps cut down time. Endless aisle is the notion of being able to take the handheld, even with the customer, and go through and scan product and see what you might have on hand, where it's being located in the store, set up, transactions to be occurring for later. Use it for curbside pickup, maybe. If you've got an e-commerce solution, but you're looking for allowed to walk out and have a mobile device for that, or any kind of personalized services that could come with the need for mobility. ESLs, monitoring self-checkout, Talked about online fulfillment a little bit. We'll go. There's more slides that Ed will talk about in that nature, and all kinds of even customer loyalty. So while you're out there on the floor, if you're going to do kind of a queue busting and the customer's a loyalty card, you can scan that or enter that customer at the time that you're scanning their product.
And I want to mention as well, before I get to the next slide, if you guys have any questions at all during this webinar, go ahead and submit your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll go over them at the end.
So I think we'll hand back to Ed. Is it, Angel, at this stage?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had my muted. For those of you that may be running self-checkout or considering it, the same mobile devices are used for our mobile operations manager that allows a shopper assistant that's attending the self-checkout units to be able to monitor transactions going on at the self-checkout, do overrides and manager approvals, as well as loss prevention indicators that come from the self-checkout. So we can share this app, the platform across applications.
So like Ed said, there's a lot of different applications you can do on these devices, unlike with Windows CE, where a lot of the applications, and even earlier versions of Android, where the application kind of had to be written specifically to the device. It's pretty interchangeable now. So I know one of the questions that came up was regarding compatibility of the device. The Android devices all work with all of the LOC platforms, Toshiba Mom, and you can even use your e-commerce applications with those devices for order picking. And we have some devices also that can pair to those mobile devices. So if you're using a tablet to go around and do online order fulfillment, we have a CodaScan device that can be worn around the neck or worn on a hand with a disposable glove, where you could keep your hands free and be able to still scan barcodes. Or these can pair to any of our Android devices also, so you don't have to pick it up and put it down when you're gathering groceries. Additionally, if you're using electronic shelf labels, this example's from Fusion, but SES or Magitag, but it works with all of the different vendors. You're able to go and reassign tags or be able to interrogate the tags right there from the aisle with the device.
Okay. To wrap things up, we shared with you a number of reasons we should be considering a new platform, especially if you have any devices out there that are still running Windows CE. You know, Kevin went over the value of Android and that we can now use this platform across multiple mobile applications. And we see that, you know, there's more to come that we can't talk about today that we have in the future. So it's a platform that you can invest in and know that you can use it across a number of applications and extend the use of your tool, you know, around the store. We'll be having some end of year special trade-in specials coming from Datalogic. So if you have any questions, feel free to send an email to sales@stcr.com. And we'll have your sales rep get in touch with you. And Angel, I'll let you kind of go over some of the questions that came up.
Okay, so the first question we have, and I'm going to point this to Pat, how soon will M Suite products be available?
Okay, I was waiting for that one. So actually, we have released it. It is part of our current release. It's only going to get better, of course, in upcoming releases, but we have released it and we have some live stores, not too many yet, but we have some stores using it in production. So it's not just gone through QA and testing. It is being used live.
The next question we have, which I think is a question for you as well, Pat, is do those devices work with our current version of SMS, version 3.5?
Yeah. So, of course, again, depending on that question as to whether that means could I use that with a previous version of our handheld app? I'm not sure if that's the question or it's similar to the previous where can we use it with 3.5 and M Suite? And if that is the question, the latter, it depends on what release of 3.5. So if it's one of the more recent releases, then chances are you can use it with M Suite. If it's a question of being able to use those devices with some of our latter apps, some of the like the M Floor or the PDA, I think that's very possible as well. We did test some of those devices. You may not get all the benefit.
We have,
but
yeah, we have people using Datalogic devices with PDA, I believe SMS also, and we're all tested out and certified to work with M Suite also.
right on.
And I'll reach out to you as well after this webinar to get some clarification, okay? The next question we have is, when will you be able to provide a mobile point of sale on these handheld units?
Okay, that's a good one as well. We're very close. Now, again, there's some variables to that. So when you say a mobile POS, I'm going to assume that could include payments on the device. And that's something we've been asked for a long time. We do have a strategy for that. I won't put too many details out now, but to say that it's right around the corner. In fact, we're almost ready to pilot it. So coming very soon.
And I'll add in also from the Datalogic side that our newest devices, the Memoir 3035, have NFC embedded in them to be able to read cards from any side of the device. So there's not just one specific little location where you need to have the card. It'll work on the front, on the back, on the sides. So as you move in that direction, it'll make things a lot easier.
Okay, so I think that might have been our last question, guys. Did you guys need to add anything else before I go into my last notes and stuff?
Just say thank you for the opportunity and getting the chance to talk with everyone. I appreciate that. And if there are any questions that I can help answer, I know Angel will come to me and I'll do my best.
Okay, so well, thank you guys, thank you all for your time today. If you have any further questions or would like to discuss your specific needs, don't hesitate to reach out to us at sales@stcr.com and we can assist you on every step of the way. We'll also be sending up a follow-up email with a link of the recording. And also later this month, we're having our lunch and learn, our famous lunch and learn session. It's going to be the 26th of this month at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be going over batches in both eSuite and SMS. And I'll be sending an email out shortly soon about that as well. Thank you all again, and I hope you have a wonderful day ahead.
Thanks, Angel.
Thank you.